So outdoor, as you can imagine, as a consumer theme, anything that's pitched as outdoor or any kind of offer which can be relocated outdoors is kind of something that visitors or the general public feel a lot more comfortable and confident about. There's also a lot of confusion about this stay alert message, and I think what's come through the sentiment this week is that the what happened with Dominic Cummings over the weekend has really confused people in terms of what can they do, what can't they do, and it's also sort of confused some businesses in terms of what the managing expectations of what consumers want too. There's a huge amount of caution around anything to do with, crowds and managing crowd control. So that obviously feeds into some of the guidelines that we see coming out around social distancing and the measures that will need to be put into place to manage the flow of people through businesses. One thing that really shone out to me is that actually people aren't looking for discounts at the moment. There's a lot of interest in people looking for quality experiences and quality product, whether or not that sort of mark of quality, which is reflected in price, kind of gives that kind of subconscious confidence feel. I think that will be really, really interesting to explore over the next couple of weeks. But certainly from a pricing point of view and how we pitch business moving forward, generally customers are not looking for discounts. That quality message still very much is there. Another piece of work we've been working on, and hopefully we'll be in a position next week to share this in slightly more detail, but UK Hospitality, which is an industry body which we're associated with, and some of you might have seen this already through a membership that you might have with them, but they've actually been exceptionally proactive on the guidelines that they feel hospitality and leisure businesses need to reopen. And we haven't yet had any kind of guidelines around what measures or practices businesses will have to put in place to reopen to the public. This includes accommodation, food, attractions, kind of like the key staple of the tourism and hospitality sector. But what UK Hospitality have done is they've written a 73-page document which has been submitted to government to say that whatever future policy is decided, whatever guidelines are official guidelines put in place for reopening this particular sector, it has to recognise and reference some of sort of the research work that they have done in partnership with their membership base. So I think the next couple of weeks it'll be quite interesting to see how the government interprets that bottom up industry sort of focused interpretation of guidelines really. And once we get those, we can look at bringing some more experts around the table to actually talk you through what those guidelines look like. They are really comprehensive because of the kind of scope of what is the sector. When you look at tourism, hospitality, leisure and retail, there's lots of different businesses which fit within that. Thus the guidelines that they've started already are 73 pages long. The next bit I just wanted to talk about was what Visit England's doing regarding their kite mark. So through a lot of the conversations we've had, we know that consumers want to have confidence in wherever they go, confidence in a business, a destination, a B&B, a hotel, an attraction, a retail outlet. And Visit England are pushing really, really hard, and they keep using this phrase, working at pace, which I think means that they're just working really, really busy on this. But they are looking to develop a national industry standard which will recognise COVID secure businesses, and they're not using the word safe because safe has kind of legal implications. So you'll hear a lot more discussion around COVID secure. So what they're doing is they're looking to build and launch at the beginning of June a brand new kite mark, which is almost like an accreditation, I suppose, for businesses to self-certify themselves as COVID secure. So on the conversations that I've had with other businesses and DMOs like Visit Lincoln, there was sort of a bit of confusion about what self-certified means and whether or not people are going to sort of bend those rules. But I think actually they have a really strong model that they're building on through their quality assurance scheme that they already run. And the portal that they are building is actually in liaison with DCMS and national government. And I think what they're really trying to do is stop lots of localised little projects or schemes popping up, because ultimately that will undermine consumer confidence. You know, people want one recognisable mark that they see, be it online and digital, or, you know, when they're looking through a shop window or opening that door. So hopefully by the beginning of June, that portal will be open and it will give you guidance on what you need to do to kind of become COVID secure. I'm on a call tomorrow with Visit England where we'll be sort of asking for a timescale and an update on that, so I can bring that to the next session next week for you. It will be policed by spot checks and consumers calling out businesses who aren't really applying. You know, I think there's a lot based on consumers actually self-policing it. And I think through TripAdvisor and, you know, other platforms which allow people to post reviews, I think, you know, it will be something that consumers will sort of take on themselves. And again, you know, their kind of emphasis is this new kite mark is not around being safe and legal, because that complicates the whole thing. It is about best practice and COVID secure. So, you know, there's quite a lot of work to be done on that, but obviously there's a couple of key kind of industry movements there which will impact on how we all reopen and how we welcome visitors back. So over the next couple of weeks we'll make sure you're updated in that, and obviously you can then pull that into your own business planning in terms of what signage you might need and what staff training's needed and things like that. So I suppose that's kind of my roundup for this week. You know, there is lots and lots to tell you. Policy changes every single day. I feel like it's really, really important that we are clear and transparent with what's going on. And hopefully you found my section of today useful and helpful. I think that knowledge is so important when you're making really significant decisions about your business, and I want to make sure that everything that comes through Visit Lincoln we share with you, so collectively we can sort of, you know, relaunch and rebuild you know, Lincoln and Lincolnshire's tourism sector. So I will pass back to Samantha now, and I'm on the call, so if there are any questions later on, like Samantha said, raise your hand or post it in the comment section, and we'll pick it up as we go along. Thank you,
Charlotte. I don't know if everybody has seen the video that Visit Lincoln recently made, and it's sort of the first part of a series of a few that we'd like to do. I wondered if, Megan, is there an opportunity to show that now to everyone? Okay, if you could just play that.
Sorry, bear with me. Yeah, I'll just share my screen now.
Yeah, I think, Charlotte, we'd like to run a few of these, wouldn't we?
Yeah, so hotel, oh, hang on, I'll talk afterwards.
More important things. Wait. Listen. Can you hear? Peace. Lincolnshire is breathing, waiting for the right time to welcome you back. Our city, countryside and coast stand strong. The greatest gift we can give is to keep our distance. We have more important things we need to do together. We are still growing. We are still learning. We are still providing. Those we put our trust in are still out there, caring, protecting, delivering, saving for you. They have trust in you to keep them safe. It will be worth it, because Lincolnshire will continue to shine. But for now, we must shine at a distance which feels strange, but we know is right. And we know that together we can do this. we sit apart, whilst we stand as one. And when the time is right, we will come together, stronger. Stay safe, save lives.
Yeah, so with regards to marketing, yeah, I realise I haven't spoken, I'll just speak very briefly about it. That was actually a video campaign that we were approached to do in partnership with the NHS. There was a real concern over the bank holiday weekend, and I've got to choose my words quite carefully here, that people from outside the county where there are higher rates of COVID cases may sort of, you know, come into Lincolnshire for the bank holiday weekend, and obviously that would have an effect on the community that we have here. And I think certainly in destination marketing, community is the bedrock of what we offer people. You know, if you haven't got an engaged, happy community who are willing to welcome visitors, then obviously that has a negative impact on the experience people have when they're here. So, you know, we took the decision to create a video like that, which really pulled on the emotion of people staying safe. And it was really good that we could do it in partnership with the NHS, because it gave that credibility. In terms of reach, that video's reached, you know, 150,000 people. And we've been quite savvy with the way that we've marketed it, because we can actually remarket to those people with our next video. And what we're trying to do is establish a relationship and a connection with Lincolnshire, so when the time is right and we've got the right offer for them, we've actually got a group of engaged people who will, you know, are more likely to come to and think about planning a trip to Lincolnshire. So, you know, it's part of a much wider strategy. The conversations that I was on the phone with the district councils this morning is about actually what is the next phase of our video marketing campaign. What government grants are out there to facilitate and support, you know, marketing for the sector, and that's kind of what my role's been sort of focused on. So hopefully you like the video. We've had a really positive response for it. Just quickly to say, all of our marketing assets, our video, our photography, are available for partners to use. So if you want that on your own social media, then get in touch with the team. We'll send you the raw files, or you can link to it from our YouTube channel. But it's certainly part of a sort of, you know, 12-month campaign to try and get people to reconnect with Lincolnshire, and then when the time's right, welcome them back to our businesses.
Yeah, thank you. A little bit conscious, I know that Samantha Mallows has joined us from Lincoln Cathedral, and I know you very kindly agreed to join today, Sam, and you're quite committed to another meeting a little later. So if we could take questions after, but if you want to just say a few words very quickly, because I know you're quite keen to
yeah, that's fine. Sorry if anyone can hear a squealer in the background. My 7-month-old is rather vocal this afternoon. So yeah, basically just really, really quickly, because I've got to zip off in 2 minutes. The cathedral, obviously, or as hopefully many of you will know, we are just in the process of building a new visitor centre, which is called the Old Deanery Visitor Centre, just on the side of the cathedral on Eastgate. That is due to be handed over to us quite soon. Obviously, with everything that's gone on in the last few months, it has been delayed. We were hoping that we would be open this summer, but obviously external events have prevented us from doing that. We are in the process now of reviewing everything and checking when we can actually open. We don't want to say a date that's too soon, so we're not, you know, ready for everybody. We want to be as safe as possible as we can. Yes, Lucy. So we're reviewing all of our safety and hygiene practices and all that kind of stuff, as I'm sure many of your businesses are as well. So as soon as we know when that's going to be open, we'll let you know. Obviously, the cathedral as well, we're in a bit of a unique position with us being an attraction and a church. So at the moment, we think we'll be able to reopen from the 4th of July, is what the government is saying at the moment for places of worship. Whether that actually happens or not is, you know, we'll have to wait and see what Boris Johnson announces. But then again, we've got a difference between our visitor attraction side of things and our worship side. So, for example, we know we're not going to be able to have our choir sing, which is a really important thing for us. But on the visitor side of things, we're really just focusing now on getting open when it's safe to do so. and trying to invite people back as and when we're able to, really. If you're not sure of what's actually to come in the centre, we've got a new shop, a new refectory, completely different to what we've got at the moment. So if you've been in the cathedral recently, our coffee shop's quite tired, it's a bit dated, our menu's a little bit old-fashioned. That's all completely revamped. It's 4 times the size what we have now, so we can cover for 120 instead of 30 odd. It's all really modern, fresh, new, brand new menus being developed. We're going to be more on a par with other things that are in the Bailgate, rather than the kind of old-fashioned options that we have at the moment. So we're just reviewing all of that kind of stuff as well. We're going to have a new exhibition space, so kind of a mini museum, education spaces as well. So once our schools are allowed to visit again, we'll be welcoming those back. But really just updating everything that we've got for our families and for all of our visitors. So lots and lots to look forward to. It's a shame that I can't tell you exactly when at the moment, but you know, we're all in the same position, as Charlotte said, we're in it together. And as and when we'll share with you our opening plans, and there'll be a big, you know, hurrah, and we'll be trying to encourage everybody to come and visit. We were really pleased to see the castle do well over the weekend as well with their reopening. So hopefully when we can, fingers crossed, we'll welcome everyone back as well. But really sorry, Lucy agrees.
I think Lucy's quite excited about the castle reopening.
Aren't you? Yes. But I'm going to have to zip off because I've got another meeting. But if there is anything that anyone would like to know, just let me know. And say I'm currently on maternity leave only for another 2 weeks, and then I'm back properly. So if anyone wants to get in touch, please do, either directly to me or through Visit Lincoln. And as and when I can, I'll give you a further update. But thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, thank you for just allowing us that time. I know you're quite pushed and it's a very busy period for you, but I do appreciate you giving up your time today for us. Thank you.
See ya.
And thanks. And as I say, if anybody wants to ask any questions about the cathedral in particular, about space that they might be able to hire out, etc., if you don't know how to get in touch with Sam, just give us a call here and we'll point you in the right direction. Megan, has there been any questions in terms of what Charlotte was talking about earlier? Good, that's very good. Right, so if we move on, we have Michelle Sims, who is the Centre Manager for the VIC, which is our Visitor Information Centre. Michelle, do you want to give us a quick update on what's happening with yourselves?
Yeah, hello, good afternoon to everybody. Nice to see some faces, actually. It's a shame we can't be in the sunshine, though, but never mind.
Oh, we could have a garden party next time.
Well, we should have, actually. I should have set this up outside. I had a few technical problems there. It's my first Zoom meeting. So anyway, I've sorted that now. Basically, for the VIC, the Visitor Information Centre, we were been taken back in-house to the City of Lincoln Council from the 1st of April. So it's been a bit of a challenging time, end of financial year, full stock take and lockdown. So it's been quite eventful, but all's okay. You know, we're doing our best, and we're getting through it like everybody else, muddling through it probably. It comes with all the stress that's involved with moving a new house. You know, you've got utilities to sort out. Our phone lines are not operating properly till June, 8th of June, because of the lockdown in India with BT. So it's been all sorts of things delaying our proper, you know, restarting under the council. But in some respects, because it's a lockdown situation, it's probably it's been a bit kinder that we've had these glitches that we can sort out. So lots of changes for us. Not everything will be the same in terms of the business, of course, but in terms of procedures, new till system, new IT system, a different way of working. Is all a lot to learn, a lot to take in amidst new training regime in regards to cleaning and safe opening for COVID-19. So a lot to take on board. A lot of the staff aren't working at the moment because not through any fault of their own. Just a few of us are able to work from home, but I'm hoping to get everybody back as soon as we can, and that really looking to do that on Saturday the 20th of June. that's assuming that I've got a phone line and I've got an internet connection and and everything else that goes with that. But that's what I'm working towards, the 20th of June. And I've done my risk assessment. I've followed all the HSE guidelines in terms of safe opening and best practice. And putting lots of measures in place in terms of how we can do that safely for customers and of course for our staff. So just to quickly just give you some of the ideas that I'm doing to ensure that we can open safely without going through the whole risk assessment. We'll be looking at, for example, reducing our opening hours because we'll have only a minimum staff on duty. So that's 2 members of staff at any one time. So we'll be opening 7 days a week, 10:30 till 4. So that's Sunday opening hours for us really. So that's a reduction in hours. And obviously we'll be restricting the customers coming through the door as well, because we are a small office. We've got a front office area and an upstairs shop area, so we will be limiting the amount of people coming through the door and having a queuing system outside, and relying on what Charlotte touched on earlier, some people's common sense really, that the signage will be adequate so people understand that only so many people can come in, and if they try and enter the building and see that we're at capacity, you'd like to think, well, I will just wait. But until we do it in practice, I don't know how well it will or won't work. But being working at the Vic 1 day a week, I've experienced the bail gate, for example. So I've been to the post office, I've been to Curtis's, and I see how it's working for other businesses. And it's reassured me actually to think, well, actually other businesses are managing just fine with this idea of restricting entry, and seeing how customers are using their common sense. It's reassured me that I don't necessarily have to have somebody on the door counting people in and out. You know, it's there's no space to do that for one, but I think we've got to trust the customer a bit, and I think that we've had a long enough now of supermarkets and queuing to get into shops that I think it should work okay. It's just managing that best we can really, and making it clear, and that comes down to signage, floor vinyls. We'll have a tension barrier outside the building, and even some chalk lines I want to draw on the floor to show where 2 meters is, so that it's nothing too intrusive, because it's obviously a beautiful spot, and I don't want to start putting hazard tape up everywhere. We are a retail shop as well as a visitor information centre, and I want to encourage sales. I don't want there to be a barrier for people to feel like, oh, I daren't almost be in here. I want to try and make it reassuring for customers that we are safe, we are meeting the government guidelines, but also, yeah, it is okay to have a browse and to pick products that you want and go to the counter to pay, but we will just try to limit how many people are in at any one time, for the safety of them and also for our staff. We will have counter guards, acrylic perspex guards all along the front there, so we will be protecting staff in that way, and I'll make sure that PPE will be available, but it will be for use real minimum. It will just be, we're hoping that people will be able to hand wash obviously very frequently. We'll have hand sanitizers for customers and for staff, and we hope that, you know, that will manage it as best we practically can really. So I think, you know, so without going on and on and on about the risk assessment, there's so much that you can do in the business, just layout changes, things like that, just to ensure that 2 meter social distancing is possible. So a lot going on, a lot to do before we actually open those doors.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. And it's really reassuring to see that, you know, you've got these things in place, and, you know, you've got a set of rules, as it were, a policy to adhere to, and I think that reassures not only the public coming in and using you, but actually your staff as well. I know that I think Matt Douglas, you're here today, aren't you, with us? Hi. I just wondered, I know that you're here, you're from 200 Degrees, and I know you've reopened as a takeaway, and I just very quickly wondered if you found that the public are using their common sense in terms of queuing, or have you had to sort of go that extra mile to make it very, very clear and put someone on the door?
So I'm not too close to the operations side of it, my part's marketing mainly, but I have chatted to the area manager, and we've actually got 4 stores open altogether now, and I think across all of them we found that customers have been really respectful of how we've asked them to kind of operate in our new stores. So again, we've got the perspex screens or the glass screens up. We've separated the staff out. We've got the markings on the floor that are quite consistent. And I think people are just pretty much taking in their stride. I think reflecting what's already been said, like all the supermarkets have set a great example already, and I think people know what to expect. You know, we're making fresh coffee. It's going to take a second to do that, and so people are keeping their space and their distance. I think we maybe expected a few more people loitering outside the front of the store, and obviously, you know, you've got to be a little bit careful with that. But I think from what I've been told, it's gone quite well so far. There's not been any incidents. So it'll be interesting to see as more retail obviously starts to open in the next week or so, a couple of weeks, how the busier high streets kind of accommodates the social distancing. And, you know, at the moment we've got, you know, the buses and things aren't really that full. As more and more people come back into the city centre, that'll be the next challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think, Michelle, for you as well, with you being with the Visitor Information Centre, some of the products that you've got for sale, i.e., you know, little postcards, etc., because the monetary value isn't too high, I suppose that puts you in not a unique position, but slightly different than some other retailers, because I notice that lots of people are saying that they will only take card payments at the moment. And if you want to buy a 15p postcard, that's not really going to work. So is that something that you've had to consider as well?
It is, absolutely. And we're going to have some signage up to say preferred method of payment is by card. But yes, we will of course take cash, because it's not, you know, some people might want to pay by card for a postcard, but generally speaking, we should be able to wash our hands if you're using cash and everything else, and we'll have the hand sanitizer there as well. So I think yes, card payments preferred, but we definitely will still be handling cash. And like other businesses in the Bowgate are doing, they're still taking cash payments. It's, you know, for small sales, it's, you know, you can't just assume that everyone will have a card. Yeah.
Right, okay. So Megan, did anybody want to ask Michelle anything? So we've got Laura from the Lincoln Castle. If you want to say hello to us, Laura. If Megan will unmute you.
Hi everyone, lovely to see so many local people there. So basically, so the castle is it went really well. I know that the Lincolnite may have put the 2,500 there as a ballpoint, but actually we only had about 100 people per day. So it's gone really well, really. And the staff have been really well with taking on these new procedures, new cleaning regimes. And as you can imagine, there was a hell of a lot of process as well. So following lots of government guidelines in place. Particular things now is looking at phase 2, what's next, and keeping these new kind of, as you said, not safe, but COVID secure ways of working to other areas of the attraction that are open. We're quite blessed really as the site is quite open, but we still have to, possibly similar to what the cathedral are having, we're a kind of a hybrid site. We're an open park space, but we're also a visitor attraction. So it's the type of visitors that will be coming are going to expect toilet facilities and cafe takeouts and things like that. So we're looking at obviously expanding that to phase 2, which will be reopening of our walls, and a cafe kind of takeout option, which will be a grab and go. And just little things that we'll be looking at now is probably some of the things that you guys are all looking into with Visit England is who is going to be our target market? Are they going to be our locals? Will locals want to buy a castle souvenir, or would they want to buy something that's a local produce? There's a lot of thoughts going on, obviously, who our customers will be, since there probably is not going to be much travel in the future at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's something that sometimes we forget to think about in terms of, you know, it's great that locally people will come back out, but in terms of spending, especially like souvenirs and things like that, that's not something always that they're quite as interested in as if they were an external visitor into the county. Give us an update on the half marathon that might be, hopefully that it's going to happen in September, and we'll have a bit of good news later in the year.
Hello, hopefully you can all hear me. City Foundation. And we're delivering the Lincoln City Half Marathon with our event partners, Curly's Athletes, due to take place in September. For those of you that aren't aware of the foundation, we're a charity based at the football ground, and we're involved in lots of different projects with sort of overarching aim of inspiring individuals and communities to develop their physical, social or mental well-being. So you may have seen that we have announced the route already for our event. I think it was, I lose track of time now, maybe start of this month we announced the full route, which I'll let Charlotte explain a bit more in a second, but the basic premise is that we start near to Booton Park in the south of the city, and then we head north towards the sort of cultural quarter, incorporating the university campus. Whilst we're in the north, we go through the Bell Gate and incorporating those key landmarks that you kind of expect to see on a route. And then we finish off by heading back down south with the route eventually ending up back at Booton Park itself, which is where our finish will be. So yeah, it's a full kind of city centre route. We wanted to incorporate the north and the south. Yeah, and so we announced this back at the start of June, and it's taken us a while to get the route together, but we are really kind of proud of it and how central it is to Lincoln. And yeah, I'll let Charlotte hopefully just add a little bit more detail about that and our plans sort of going forward with the event.
Yeah, thanks Alice. Hi everyone. It's been quite a journey to get this route signed off, I can't tell you. To put some kind of context in it for those of you that don't know, the route that Alice described, it will be the first time in around 30 years that an event of this nature has literally run straight through the city. Now this was something that we were quite passionate about early on. If you're going to call something the Lincoln City Half Marathon, not only because of our brand association, but also you can't run out of the city. We wanted it to be a city experience. And I come at it with two different hats, because I used to work in economic development at the county council. So I'm fully aware of the great work that Visit Lincoln do on a regular basis to bring people and attract people to our city and our county. And I suppose for me, Lincoln was missing a trick, really, economically, socially, from an activities and physical activity point of view, getting people healthy, because actually although we are quite a healthy county, ironically we've got quite an obesity crisis as well. So there's so many different things that we thought that this event could fix, basically, or at least go to a way towards. And Alice is right, we are a self-funded charity. It's a great opportunity for us to use this as a fundraising opportunity, but also support other charities. We work really closely with a load of other charities around the county. Sorry, my daughter is just coming in now to wave quickly. I will speak to you in 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes. Sorry about that. Joys of home learning. So yeah, so part of the reason why we've got involved with Visit Lincoln primarily is it's Volunteers Week next week, National Volunteers Week. So we're going to run a bit of a campaign about celebrating volunteers. You know, things like the half marathon could not exist, like many events, and I know St Barnabas has the same issue with recruiting volunteers. They just can't happen without the local support. So there's going to be quite a lot of social media hopefully around next week, recognising the hard work of a volunteer and what makes somebody give their time for free, but also as part of the route we want to focus on the story of Lincoln. And I'll use the tank example because it seems like a good one, that unless you are aware why there is a random tank in the middle of a roundabout in the centre of a city, you wouldn't necessarily know the historical connection to that and the importance and the significance to that as a city. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to sell the story of Lincoln and give runners an overall experience. Now obviously at the moment we are facing more than one challenge with balancing up the runner experience and our desire to make this happen, but also, as with any of our programmes, our number one priority is safety, and it's safeguarding those that are taking part, those that are spectating, those that volunteer. We are reviewing guidelines on, I was going to say daily basis, but I think it's more like hourly recently, with all the different announcements that keep happening. At the moment, we are planning It's business as usual. We are getting the positive messages out there. We hope, and the ambition has always been, that this event will grow year on year for the city. And I've got, Alice will vouch for this, that I've got crazy plans to bring a junior event to the city, and get people physically active from a younger age, instilling that community organising kind of ethos, and that fundraising ethos, and that fact that people want to volunteer for other people, getting that kind of embedded in people's lifestyle really from a really early age. So there's loads and loads and loads of boxes that it'll tick for us. Basically, we need support. I want this to become a festival of over a weekend. I'm hoping that's good news to any hoteliers and people with restaurants and pubs and stuff out there that might want to get involved with us to do runner offers. I want to encourage people into the city to stay the whole weekend. And actually this is part of a portfolio of events. There's 2 other ones that I can't talk about just yet, but for 2021, that again, we're hoping will bring people from the East Midlands area to Lincoln. It's not just Lincoln people that we're trying to attract to these events. But who knows? That's basically why we're here. We're just here to kind of bang the drum, and this isn't, we're not your average event organiser, in that we're not a private sector business. We are a charity, and we are a Lincoln-based local charity. So nobody wants this to be a success more than us, because we live at the stadium. So, well, under normal circumstances, we live at the stadium, so we're not going anywhere. And so it benefits us other one now. It benefits us hugely that we get reach out to new audiences and engage with as many people as possible, and businesses. So I don't like the sound of my own voice, so I'm going to stop now unless Alice wants to add anything further from her side.
No, so I think Charlotte's touched on it well. We want it to be an experience for runners, but also to attract the things that come along with holding events, like spectators and the families and things. I'm a keen runner. I've done loads of events around the world and the UK, and I know how much a running event can transform a place on a day and for a weekend, especially if people travel far. So it's really exciting for us to be involved with.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you. It's quite refreshing to hear as well that it'd be great to have an event that's going to attract obviously other people, not only locally but from out of the county. You know, I know running's very popular. Lots of running clubs would want to come along and take part in a half marathon, and that's great news for retailers, hospitality. You know, all like you say, all the coffee shops, the hoteliers, B&Bs, self-catering accommodators. That's great news that, you know, we've got an influx of new people coming into the city that may have not have visited before, and hopefully they'll come, they'll look at it and they'll think, great, Lincoln is beautiful, let's come again another weekend. And that's a great thing. I was thinking in terms of the actual marathon itself on that day, what sort of times, is there a time frame and starting point? Is it early in the morning?
Thank you, Megan, bless your heart. Yeah, it's meant to start at the moment at 8:30. We are looking at, obviously, as every event organiser is up and down the country, what having 3,000 people standing at a start line all together means, and what options we've got to do a phase start perhaps, and things like that. So there's loads and loads of things going on at the moment, but at the moment primarily it will start at 8:30. The idea being that, again, don't want to put a heavy burden on what is already a very delicate city centre infrastructure in Lincoln. So we're trying to utilise parking outside and getting people bussed in to Booton Park, because obviously it's quite a confined area. So we're taking that into consideration as well. And also obviously with the it's actually the same weekend, I think, as the Battle of Britain ceremony that's kind of going on around the castle and the cathedral. We very early on said, well, look, we don't want to take anything away from that. We want I love the cathedral, so I want people to be able to get up there and still celebrate that. We'll just avoid all promotion of, say, the North City for the car parks, for example. Not that they can't be involved in other parts of the weekend and people might potentially stay there, but it's just those runners that literally just come for the run and then go, so that we're not bringing people to the north of the city that potentially isn't going to spend any money up there. So it's a delicate balance, I suppose. We're hoping that everyone should be done by about 12:30, and that's based on the slowest walker, because it's not just runners, we want walkers as well. And again, it will end at Booton Park.
I think, Charlotte, did you want to say something?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just conscious of time and the fact that we've had some technicalities with Richard and other speakers. So if we don't get to hear from them today, we will bring them back on another one, because I think the risk assessment one, in terms of, you know, what the new risk assessment is going to look like for businesses reopening, is really, really important. And I know that having worked with Richard and Sarah Loftus at Lincoln Big, an awful lot of work has been done over the past couple of weeks, really ahead of the national guidelines that have come out, to make sure that the high street is going to be, you know, secure and welcoming. And that's the role that Visit Lincoln's involved in as well. I suppose I just wanted to kind of end on some research that a consultancy did called Hotel Solutions. So there's some consultants who work across Lincolnshire, and they work mainly within the hotel sector, bringing investors to Lincoln to development sites where hotel provisions are kind of put forward to planning. And they did quite an in-depth piece of research, which is actually on the Visit Lincoln business blog. So if you want to have a look at it, do have a look at it. It's a sort of 10-page document, and in that document they pull out key themes which they think are going to be really, really important for recovery. And those themes kind of touch upon some of the things we've mentioned today. And as a marketer and as business owners, we need to think about how can we adapt our offer and how can we adapt our business to tap into these themes which are coming out from the consumer research. And these three key themes are quality, which we've already touched upon. You know, look at your price points and look at actually, you know, not necessarily discounting, but ensuring that we've still got that quality offer. The second one, which kind of fits into what Charlotte's been talking about as well, is green. You know, consumer sentiment around sustainability and the green agenda, you know, is really, really sort of off topic at the moment. So as a marketing message, what kind of green credentials do you have that tap into this new sort of connection we have with Mother Earth, and, you know, feeling connected to the place as well? So that was the second theme coming through. And then the third one was marketing. So I think, you know, looking at those three themes, which recovery and relaunching will kind of focus around, I'm certainly looking at those with a Visit Lincoln point of view about how can we sort of tap into those recovery trends in sort of the next phase and the next wave of marketing and the next phase of sort of recovery planning as well. So I think it's worthwhile us all thinking about how we can align our business offer or our business model into new sexy topics that consumers are going to be actively looking for.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple of questions as well. Megan, have you got them there?
Sorry, yes, so we have a question from Tony, so I will just put him on, just bear with me. Okay, Tony, you can speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Tony or Anthony from Little Redlands B&B. Michelle mentioned about the hand washing, and Castle mentioned about the toilets not being open. It seems counterintuitive to me that all toilets everywhere aren't open, and a lot of the shops are not open, when the gold standard for minimising transmission of COVID is regular and thorough hand washing. Apart from anything else, people aren't going to stay around long if they can't use public conveniences at a time when they're also not only using the toilets, they want to wash their hands more often and use them more often than ever. It seems a fundamental flaw to me in what's going on at the moment.
I think, I mean, obviously I'm not involved in toilet management. I think that kind of sits with the local authority, but the insight that I've had to it is certainly on the coast. I think they were trying to manage expectations with what's open and what's not open. I saw on BBC Breakfast News this morning, the Toilet Association, which I think is a national lobbying body, you know, they've certainly raised it because people with medical conditions actually need access to toilets, you know, not just for the convenience, but actually, you know, for other reasons. I think that, and certainly in the conversations that I've been involved in, that actually the reopening of the high street, that is when we'll kind of see districts sort of committing to other services as well. I think it's very much about a phased opening, rightly or wrongly. That's the decision that's being made, and it is being made by a district by district a sort of decision. So for example, North East Lincolnshire, the beach is open, the toilets have been open the entire time through, whereas other districts have taken, you know, the decision to not have their public toilets open. You know, it's made national news, but I do know from the conversations that I've been involved in that it's on the agenda. So I think they will try and align the two in terms of phased reopening and then reopening services, which you're absolutely right are critical for everybody.
We've actually just got a message from Richard Baxter, who I don't think can speak right now due to technical difficulties, but he said that most businesses in Lincoln at least will have hand sanitisers for public to use.
That's good to hear. Richard, are you definitely, you can hear us, I take it, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I think we'll get Richard back on next week's one and sort out the tech in between, because there's quite a lot of work happening in the city which would be valuable to feed back to people. Are there any other questions, Meg? Or?
Yes, so we've got Galaxy Tab, who I'm not sure that is, but here we go.
I can see the lady, yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
I'm Louise Harding. So
hi Louise.
Yeah, so I've been on all the time, but and I'm not a technical god, so I've had to fiddle around a bit to work out how to speak. So yeah, I mean, I know obviously the time's up now, so I don't know if you want me to say anything or whether I can just quickly.
No, if you're free, if you could just give us a little quick overview of the efforts and the hard work that your team have been doing, and how maybe if you point people in the right direction if they need any advice.
Yeah. So basically, since lockdown, we haven't been out doing normal inspections, but we have been spending that time advising businesses on what to do if they want to change the scope and do takeaway and that sort of thing, and how to do it safely. And we've also been obviously dealing with any complaints about businesses that are trading that shouldn't be, and also any businesses that are trading, we've tended to contact them just to find out what they're doing and make sure that it all sounds fine and give them any advice as necessary. And then just to sort of quickly say, I have been working with Lincoln Big, and I did do a draft, some draft text in a letter that I believe they've already sent out about various sources of information, and also reminding businesses that they do need to do a risk assessment before they open. And there's some links to the HSE website, and also there's some links to the gov.uk website, because a couple of weeks ago the government did produce some working safely during COVID-19 documents, and there's two in particular, one for shops and one for restaurants and takeaways, but there is some general information there that all businesses can use. And also I think Samantha sent you a checklist that the Food Standards Agency have come up with, and I'm happy for you to share that with your members as well, and that can be adapted for non-food businesses. And in the documents that are on the gov.uk website, there are checklists on there, and also there's a notice that can be completed and printed off that you can put up in your premises to say that you've done a risk assessment, you've got all the procedures in place, and that it's safe to be there.
I think that's good in terms of that reassures the public when they come in, that they know that premises has done proper safety checks and put everything in place. And I'm happy, as Louise has just said, we've got several links to retail shops, other businesses and food outlets. So if any of you need to take a look at those checklists and take the advice, then I'm happy to pass those on. If you want to get in touch with me, we can forward those on to you. Thanks for that, Louise. Have you found that there's many people due to open quite soon in the city centre?
Yes, well, I think there's a number of businesses already trading, and generally when we've been working with businesses, they've been very cooperative. And I think where they have had troubles themselves is about customers not following procedures. So it's really important if you've got you know, procedures in your workplace that is communicated to members of the public. So you can do that through signage, through floor markings. If you can, you know, if you're able to have someone on the door to manage how many come into the shop or the premises, and then just remind them, you know, what they need to do when they're in there, because obviously everybody needs to work together. And then just sort of quickly going forward, the City Council are working with Lincoln Big and the police and others to manage a safe reopening of the city centre. So we're going to be sending some communications out to the public and to businesses, again saying that we all need to work together to make sure that you know, that it's safe to come into Lincoln. And
that's really useful.
We'll be monitoring and doing walkabouts and, you know, giving advice and whatnot. So, and we're just going to reassess that as it goes forward, depending on how compliant everyone is. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll things will be fine.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Megan, is there any other questions that have come up while Louise was chatting?
I can see Emma's waving and flashing and pointing.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Emma now. Just bear with me. There we go.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I wasn't sure how to press the little tap to speak, but thank you so much. This is just brilliant. I mean, brilliant. We're all in this together, and the fact that we can all do this is phenomenal. I'm so grateful. But my sort of thought that was just popping into my head is around, you know, all the work we've really done well with Plastic Free Lincoln, and this fact that we are all going to be, as businesses, seeking PPE equipment and hand sanitizers and all those products. Is there any scope, and I know you guys are super busy and you're doing an amazing job, but just, you know, signposting us to organisations that are the most sustainable in relation to supplying those resources, because the biggest fear, you know, we've come so far really thinking about the sustainability and all of the disposal of all of this equipment and etc. You know, most of the hand sanitizer you can buy comes in plastic bottles. There are some companies out there, you know, and I know even locally like Pingin, they're diversifying to sort of help, and I know you can't favour particular products or brands, but as an organisation, is there any signposting or steering that you can do for us to make sure we are kind of really working hard towards that sustainability project? So it'd be great if we could be the county that's delivering COVID secure services in a really sustainable way.
I think that's a really valid point, actually. And when I was talking earlier about sustainability and green, actually that starts right now, doesn't it? So yeah, absolutely. I think one of the roles that we can do is just collect those commonalities between businesses and pull something together, share best practice. Ultimately, the decision's up to you guys who you use. But you know, if we can streamline that process and give you access to information quickly and easily, so actually your time is spent on other things that are more important to your business, then yeah. So maybe you and I can have a chat about that, Emma, as well. I mean, other things we're thinking about, and we will wrap it up in a moment, is also signage bundles. Everybody needs signage in their business, but actually could we you know, create a signage bundle, so again you don't have to spend money or produce one yourself. So those are the sort of ideas we've got. So I'll hand back to Samantha now. Like I say, there's loads we could talk about, but we'll probably save it now for next week. From me, thank you so much for coming, and I'll hand back to Samantha now, who can sort of update you on what the plan is for next week, and hopefully you can join us then as well.
Thanks, Charlotte. Yeah, can I just say that, you know, considering this is the first one that we've ever put together, I want to just say a huge thank you to everybody for taking their time to come and listen in and participate. And I hope that moving forward we continue to do these kind of quite informal and sociable get-togethers. We can, as Charlotte said, we want to share best practice. If anybody wants to chat about their own business and, you know, say what they're doing or anything like that, please just get in touch with me. We're open to, you know, ideas about different topics, and we're hoping to cover lots of different things moving forward and invite different people to come along and speak. And it would be lovely to actually hear stories from some of our partners, you know, and say, you know, what are you doing? Have you had to diversify? Have you been closed? What are you? It's just, you know, it's just really nice to hear from partners and see how we can help you and share content. So I think, unless Megan, there's anything else, I think it's been really lovely. As Charlotte says, we're hoping to do one next week, so I will email everybody and give you a little bit more detail once we've got our heads together and said, right, what time, what we're doing. But that's been great. Thank you so much. I hope that you've enjoyed it and you've taken something away, even if it's just a small bit of information. And if something's come to mind that you didn't have a chance to speak, just drop me an email and ask me, and we'll try and keep you informed and up to date with our policies, etc., as we go each day.